This is JRD 1016 on the Sleeper Streets, and you're listening to the All Formats podcast. Unparalleled fantasy advice for #all formats.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Week 2 recap for the NCAA. This is the college format, the little side project of the All Formats podcast. As you can see, we got the whole group here today, and we're all got our matching shirts on. Shout out Zig32. Appreciate the shirts, buddy. But this is going to be our first college video with everybody here at one point, and I'm really excited to get into this. I don't want to really waste any time. I really want to talk about these football games that happened. A lot of big upsets happened this week. Three MAC schools beat three pretty good football teams, and one of them was our good buddy, Wise Opinion One's favorite team in Notre Dame. So go ahead, say hi to the fans here, David.
What's going on, guys?
All right. We also got Joe. He was a buddy of mine. We went up to Penn State, got to watch the Penn State beat up on Ohio. How you doing over there, Joe?
Yo, I'm doing good. I saw a lot of things I liked in Happy Valley, so I can't wait till we get to that.
Oh, yeah, I think that's what we're going to be starting it off with. But before we get to that, I want to leave the floor open for my buddy down here to kind of give off some rants about that Notre Dame Fighting Irish team. Tough game. You know, you really hate losing to Marshall. Without that, I like that Rasheen Ali wasn't even in there for the game. They still lost, so... Go ahead, David. Anything you want to get off your chest about the Notre Dame game?
I mean, it's tough. We discussed it a little bit last week when it was me and just the Kit Professor. That they don't have a quarterback. You're not going to win a lot of games. College, NFL, even high school, you got to have a quarterback. They missed not only them, but a lot of the recruiting people misevaluated Tyler Buckner. He was just mainly a passing quarterback. I mean, I apologize, a running quarterback. He's not a passing quarterback. And I just think that's what a lot of teams got to look for more when they're evaluating. It's tough with high school because the high school quarterbacks run a lot, is you got to make sure they pass. And you got to have that on film versus a quarterback coming into camp. They brought Buckner in on campus and had him throw on campus, and they were blown away. You need more than that. It's got to be game film, and a lot of his game film in California was as a runner, and you can just show. You know, I saw it in Ohio State, and I told the kid, "Hey, it's not going to happen." Last week, and then against Marshall, he had a lot of bad throws, pick sixes. Now he's out for the season, and I don't think he ever starts a game again. And now they got this kid who's he might as well be like a fourth grader. He's 5'10", Drew Pine, and it's just going to be it's unfortunate that the previous regime left the new coach short at quarterback and wide receivers, and he's going to have to recruit that. People got to be a little bit patient with them. Will they? Is the question. I don't know.
It sounds like to me, it seems like the Fighting Irish's biggest issue is the quarterback position. And obviously Buckner did not have two good games. I know a guy who's got a decent amount of Buckner shares over there. Anything you want to talk about there, Joe?
So first of all, I didn't miss this. You said he's out for the rest of the year, David?
He is out for the year.
Okay, I missed that. I got to make put some waiver claims in when we're done with this podcast.
Just make sure you pick leagues that are allowed to have free agent pickups.
We gonna do that now?
No. Get past that.
So, David, you're the Notre Dame guy. So, and Junior, I hate to bring this back to your school, but a guy at work I was talking to today, David, he told me that he feels just an early vibe. Marcus Freeman is a Franklin type coach. The players will run through a wall for him, but you know, he's not going to win those quote unquote big games. Is that what we're seeing so far, or is it just he's still getting the residuals of the Brian Kelly era and he has to put his own stamp on his team?
It's way too early to call that. And I'm the most negative person about a lot of things. My wife calls me Negative Nancy. And I will call it that way if I see it even worse. I just can't do that right now, 3 games in. And Brian Kelly's issue is recruiting. He can go to LSU and he does not have to put in the work that he has to put in at Notre Dame. He's got a top 5 recruiting class right now at LSU because it's easy to do. He does not like it. He likes his assistants to do it. Marcus Freeman is recruiting. Now it's a long day. It's a long way until signing day, but they have I think at least the top 5. They may even be top 2 or 3 right now, but those players got to sign. If you lose 8, 9 games this year in December, are they going to sign? I don't know. We'll see. I see some alarms from him. I like him. I mean, we all should strive to be as smooth as Marcus Freeman. That's a smooth dude, all right? Mm-hmm. But he is an inexperienced coach, and I mentioned to a lot of my other Notre Dame fans, at Notre Dame, you should not hire inexperienced coaches. And they don't only do it for head coaches; they do it for their coordinators too, all the time. Notre Dame is not a learn on the job type of job. They did it because they didn't want to wait for Luke Fickell, right? Luke Fickell was probably going to be the hire there, but you had to wait until their playoff game finished. And then if you waited that long, they may have lost half the recruiting class. So they went with the guys that they think the locker room liked, and the recruits are going to. Now, could that bite them? It possibly could. Ask me this question at the end of the year. He is an inexperienced coach, but he's playing with two. I don't even know if the quarterback's going to start this week is Drew Pine. I don't even think he's a max starting quarterback.
Oh,
okay. And that's not his recruitment. That's Brian Kelly's recruitment. And then the receivers, they're going to try to play through the year with 4 wide receivers. They played 4 wide receivers in 2 games. They're not going to get through the whole year playing 4 wide receivers. On a fantasy perspective, I'm really worried about, and I've said this before to the Kit, and I don't know if I said it to you, Junior. I'm really worried about Michael Mayer. I like him, but he just put on too much weight, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. He's disappointed me these first 2 weeks as well. I was talking to my dad about it. I think I mentioned on last pod. He just doesn't seem like the player we expected him to be at this point. He looks like he's still freshman Michael Mayer, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. It's a big Twitter topic on him today from a lot of the Devy analysts, and I've been saying it. He's not athletic, right? Was he athletic before he put the weight on? Probably not. But he's worse now. I don't know who advised him on that. I would fire that person. And he's gonna have to drop weight before the combine, probably like 10 pounds. There are no tight ends. So this is where the debate was on Twitter. Like, Mayer is less athletic and probably not as high as everybody was on him coming into this year. But where's Michael Trigg at? That was the next big tight end, right? I haven't heard anything from him in 2 weeks. I mean, I know he's playing. And I could be wrong, but it's just like, I haven't seen anything on ESPN about him blowing up. And then you have Bowers, who's another class, right? So he's going to probably be the number 1 tight end in this class, and in a tight end premium draft. Would I take him in the first round? Depends.
All right, kind of segueing into, I know Joe compared him to Marcus Freeman, to the James Franklin of Notre Dame, and
that wasn't me. That was the guy I talked to at work today.
Oh, okay.
He's talking that mess. I wouldn't do that.
So hold up. Before we jump in, I saw you shaking your head. Do you have a number 1 tight end over Mayer right now?
Utah kid, Brand Kuthi, whatever. And here's simply why. That new style tight end, the teams that are looking for the new receiver, whoever the teams that are someone's going to trade for Mike Gesicki. We talked about that in the other all formats pod. Like, he's not that blocking tight end. He's not going to fit a scheme, and he's going to be a stand-up Travis Kelce, split in the wide or put him in the slot. And this is what this kid fits. So someone is going to take him. He might be the first tight end taken off the board for someone that's just missing a piece like that. I just feel right now his NFL game will be better suited to start day 1 than Mayer. I love Mayer. I love Mayer. I got shares of him everywhere, just like I got Buckner. But anyways, so I just think, I watched a lot of his tape from last year. So I went into this year excited, drafted him in 2 spots in my C2C league, and now it's just paying off. And I think he can continue that success. He's not going to come in next year and Kyle Pitts it up. I'm not going to say that. Wait, there's no reason why he can't come in and Freiermuth it up. Like, people slapped on a Freiermuth a year last year because of Kyle Pitts. Take Kyle Pitts out of last year's draft. Freiermuth is the guy everyone wants, and he put up good numbers as a rookie. I think this kid can do the same thing.
I know you want to move on, Junior, but I will say I don't hate that, but to me, they're the same player.
Okay, I can get on board with that.
So I could flip a coin, take either one.
I think that's fair. I like Kuthi a lot because I think if he does go to like one of those high-powered offenses that are still looking for a tight end,
Arizona,
really good. Yeah, he took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But the segue I was trying to do before I got interrupted was the Marcus Freeman into the James Franklin talk. And James Franklin is the head coach of the Penn State Nittany Lions. And I think they had a very good game that me and Joe got to watch firsthand, along with some friends and some family. But I have a note in here that I just want to talk about. I think Nick Singleton should be in the discussion with Bijan Robinson and Travion Henderson. I think he's that good of a player. Obviously, he's still a freshman. He's only got 2 games under his belt, but this kid is explosive. If he gets the edge, he is gone. I really think he's going to be one of those top players in college for the next 3 years. He's going to be the next Saquon Barkley. He's going to be like a top 10 pick in the NFL. I am all in on the Nick Singleton hype, and I regret not taking him in the one C2C league I did this year. So, yeah, I think he had a really good game. I think Drew Allar really stood out to me. He got the opportunity that we were all kind of hoping for him to get early on in the year. Hopefully they do save him a little bit so we can save that red shirt for him for this season. But in the snaps that he got this game, he looked really good. He has all the intangibles, the really good pocket movement, the really good vision. He's athletic enough. He makes the right throws. I really like him a lot. And then the last note I had on here was I figured out who Parker Washington is. He's Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's exactly who he is. He's not that fast, but he's quick. He's a slot guy. He's going to get open. He's going to see a lot of catches, but he's not going to see a lot of yards. So those are my notes from the Penn State game. Obviously, Joe, you were able to watch it as well with me firsthand. So what really stood out to you for that Penn State team?
Yeah, so the one big thing, I wanted to lean over and mention this to you at the game, but I said, you know what, I'm going to save this for the pod. I get it, and this might hurt you as a Penn State fan, but hear me out. We love Singleton. He's going to be a stud. And I agree. He should be mentioned in those names. Just these 2 games I've seen so far, one live, one on TV. He's got an it factor. But like as a true freshman, when's the last time we saw a true freshman like be like this? And yeah, he'll be the next Saquon Barkley maybe, or Miles Sanders. All these cats coming out of Penn State. But you know, their freshman years weren't the greatest. They didn't get off to a start like this. Hate to say it, he reminds me of the Maurice Clarett, his freshman year at Ohio State. He hit the scene running. He was a big guy. No one could stop him, but he got to the outside and he was gone. It's just speed. And then he tried to challenge to go to the NFL. That's a whole different story. But watch the way his running style, watch the way he plays, the way he does the game right. Even off play, blocking and doing the thing. I was just thinking, oh my goodness, this talk about a true freshman. This is Maurice Clarett again. And in 2 years, 3 years, Singleton's going to be chasing that 1-1 pick in the NFL draft over whatever quarterback. Who's the 2025 class? That's your kid, Manning or whoever. The kid, he's going to be pushing for that 1-1 as long as he stays healthy. And they're going to, you know, the way Franklin loves to rotate his backs, he's going to come out healthy and everyone's going to see what he's made of. So yeah, that's what I thought of Nick Singleton. I love the receiving core there. I'm surprised we saw a lot of Devin Ford, surprisingly, and then I realized Devin Ford was on the field in 2 running back sets. My last takeaway from this game is what Devin Ford is going to be at the next level. Whenever he comes out, makes it to the NFL, shout out to David, your high school, North Stafford. Devin Ford, he's going to be the next J.D. McKissick, Nyheim Hines. He's a great receiving back. They kept trying to feed him the ball out of the backfield, throw him on some wheel routes and whatnot. So that's what he's going to be. He's not going to carry the rock as much anymore. He's going to come out and be a receiving back. I wouldn't be surprised if he even changed positions going to the next level.
And to add there, David.
So you said a lot there. The one thing you said incorrect, Devin Ford is not an NFL player.
But
He's just not.
he went to your high school.
I love my high school, but Devin Ford's not an NFL player. Nick Singleton, hey, he's always been there, right there by those 2 backs since the offseason. I don't know if you guys saw it differently, but he's always been in Devy and CTC right around that 3rd or 4th running back. I know Braylon Sanders, Braylon Allen, Raheem Sanders are there, but most of the stuff I saw was Singleton based off talent being there. Singleton's knock was, hey, he plays in a heavy triple option offense in high school. So could he play in a college system and know how to run in there? And he definitely showed that the first week. So that was the knock with him though, because he did play in a heavy option system. I'm not seeing anything with the Penn State wide receivers. No offense. I just don't see a high NFL ceiling with either one.
I think that's fair. I think Mitchell Tinsley kind of had a quiet game. He did have the touchdown catch, but I do like him as a prospect in the NFL. But talking fantasy-wise, I don't think they're going to be first, second round, maybe even third round picks, either of them. Next one I have was about the Missouri and Kansas State game. I was really excited to watch Luther Burden. It looked like he just didn't really see the touches in that game. I was at the Penn State game, so I didn't get to keep my own eyes on it, but it looks like he just really didn't get many looks. But Deuce Vaughn had another really good football game. And obviously I know one opinion on here about Deuce Vaughn because of the size, but he keeps having really good football games. He's putting up big numbers. Is this a guy we should be talking about fantasy-wise for the NFL?
No. And we're wasting airtime.
Is Deuce Vaughn Max Brody?
So if this is specifically a campus to campus podcast, then I think we can continue to discuss, but I don't think it is. So let's move on to the next player, in my opinion.
I think that's understandable. Yeah.
Wow,
But,
so much hate for the little guy, David. So much hate.
He's already. What's the saying? Altitude deficient.
I mean, my 6-year-old nephew may be taller than him already.
Ooh.
Shout out David's 6-year-old nephew.
Yeah,
but Ohio State, Ohio State, I just expected to stomp on Arkansas State. It looks like they did. Marvin Harrison Jr. had another really big game. JSN did not play in the football game, but I think they kind of got right there with their offense. I think they all had a really good game. The other note I had was Arkansas versus South Carolina. I was really excited to see if KJ Jefferson would have another game, and he did. I think he played pretty well. But I think Spencer Rattler stinks. I think we were all, I don't know if the actual dynasty community was kind of off of him at this point, but I really just don't think he's a good football player. But I'm kind of intrigued about this KJ Jefferson. I don't know whether he is the passer to be able to make it in the NFL, but you know, with guys getting drafted in the third round, like Matt Corral, Malik Willis, guys like this, I think we should be talking about these kind of middle-tier QBs. So I think he's got a chance to be one of those maybe second or third round quarterbacks that kind of make in the NFL. But do you guys have any opinion on KJ Jefferson at Arkansas?
KJ is strictly CFF.
Mm-hmm.
He'll go third. He might go third round. Somebody might give him a shot. I realistically think he's going to go fifth round. Senior quarterback. He's just strictly CFF. Spencer Rattler, I'm disappointed in. A lot of people were down on him. The end of last year, the offseason hype, spring game he had kind of brought people back around. I was kind of around, but yeah, he's not good. He's not an NFL prospect.
Yeah, Junior, you put me on to KJ Jefferson. Even after these two games, I think he's playing amazing. But I will agree with David. College football, talent only. There'll be a home for him. Second string, backup, practice squad, scout, whatever. Quarterbacks are a premium. Sam Howell got drafted, so KJ will get drafted fifth or sixth round.
Sam Howell.
Yeah. The Spencer Rattler thing, you guys, it might be before your time, Junior, but, we had this cartoon growing up of Scooby-Doo, and they're always trying to find these monsters, and they would find a ghost, and they would take the mask on and be someone they know. You go take that helmet off of Spencer Rattler, I guarantee you it's Bo Nix. They're the same player. I'm done with both of them. I'm trying to get them off my rosters. Twitter told me in the offseason Spencer Rattler was back. They had me buying into the hat. Into the hype. I was like, okay, Spencer Rattler, he's back. Okay, let's see. South Carolina's going to be a game changer for him. Yeah. If anything, he regressed. So, no, Spencer Rattler, it's over.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much done. I don't really have anything else to add. I think I'm still a little intrigued about KJ Jefferson, but we'll see how the season goes. UNC, I was really excited to see.
Before we move off that, Raheem Sanders.
Rocket.
Yes.
He's really good.
They're very. People were kind of iffy on him. We can stop being iffy on him. He's a very good prospect.
Oh, he's solid. 24 guy, correct?
Yes.
24. Yeah, he'll be that 24 class is looking
So
sneaky good.
Yeah, your top three will be Travion, Braylon Allen, and Rocket.
Mm-hmm.
Those three will be
Here we
top
go.
three. Top three.
I'm tired of you.
We could possibly have fake CMC at number 4, but we'll see.
Plastic CMC. All right, and then the next note I had was about the UNC game. I was excited to watch Drake May play again because I think he's a really good QB. And it looks like he just had like an okay game. I think he went 19 for 24, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he did have a pick. Didn't really run the ball too much, only 10 carries, about 15 yards. And George Pettaway, the running back, freshman running back for UNC, I was hoping to see a little bit more run, but he only got 5 carries and really didn't do anything with it. But yeah, and they also had kind of like a low-scoring game. My biggest thing for the year was that you should take the UNC over if it's anything less than like 80 points or something like that. But they actually didn't hit it this week. So, Joe, what do you think about Drake May's play this week against Georgia State?
So honestly, I think the North Carolina game, it was more of a coaching gameplay thing. It was Georgia State. I can guarantee you they didn't prepare. They probably didn't prepare as much for that game as they were prepared for this podcast. So they didn't put anything together. They came out the gate slow. Only 7 points in the first quarter against Georgia State. Come on, you're better than that. And then it was that third quarter. I think Georgia State went on a little run. I don't know. They scored 20 points. I don't have the numbers in front of me. And then they got worried. So they wanted to slow play it, knowing that, there's these freshmen have been tearing it up. Hey, let's scale it back a little bit. Let's get this W and go prepare, for some conference play or whatever we have next coming up on the schedule. But that being said, Drake May still did Drake May things. Only 5 incompletions, 1 interception. I would like to see Pettaway get a little more run. This Hampton kid's just stealing all my touches, but it's okay. He won't be there much long. That'd be all Pettaway. The one thing I want to talk about, Pace the freshman, another big game for him. This is a kid like I'm really starting to like at North Carolina. David might not like him, but he is 6'1", so he fits David's profile. But I think he's going to be something special. And they need to watch out for him.
All right. So another couple notes before we get into the big games that happened over Saturday. Texas A&M. Tough one against Appalachian State. I was really hoping this would be like a bounce back game for the whole offense and also my Devin A-Chain shares. And didn't turn out too good. They actually lost outright to Appalachian State, and they had that awful video that was circulating on Twitter about them talking about them before the game. Did you guys see that video?
No, I missed that one.
Yeah, I missed that too.
I'm going to have to throw that one in the group chat. But that other Michigan game that I brought up, that they're 51.5-point favorites, and I was just flabbergasted about it. They actually didn't cover. I think they won by like 46, but I just still think that's insane how a college football team can be favored by 51, 52 points over another team, but NFL game totals don't even reach that high. I think it's just absolutely insane to think about. The Baylor-BYU game, I was interested just in the football side. Yep, go ahead.
I want to come back to the Michigan game. Mm-hmm. David.
Did we talk about them? Did we go Michigan? I didn't think we went Michigan, did we?
He just said Michigan and Hawaii. Pay attention.
Oh.
But I just want to say thank you, David. You told me to watch J.J. McCarthy. What is it, like 2 incompletions?
Oh.
The kid's legit.
Yeah, he's legit.
The kid's legit.
Legit. It's wheels up for him.
I get it. Did they announce him to start the rest of the way?
Started the rest of the way. I've always been on McCarthy. I've always kind of been on Drake May. The 3 quarterbacks is McCarthy, May, and Williams in 24. I can't put McCarthy and May over my DMV boy in Williams. So I would still go number 1 Williams. McCarthy wheels up. That everybody has been making fun of Harbaugh in Michigan. Might want to peel that back a little bit because McCarthy and then what's the running back's name that's kind of off the top of my head? Is it not Corum? Edwards. McCarthy and Edwards are going to take over that offense, and that offense is going to be exciting.
Mm-hmm. And be a nice duo next year.
Michigan is going to be. I even think this year they're dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd be excited to watch how McCarthy does against another Big Ten team, but he did look really good against Hawaii.
That was one of my good calls. I had a lot of bad calls that I may have to stop doing these calls on. Okay, that was one of my good calls. That the coming out party was McCarthy, and he wheels up.
All right, because since we're going a little bit long on the podcast, we can kind of speed it up here a little bit. So, going into the big four games that I really highlighted in the preview video from last week, the first one was Pittsburgh versus Tennessee. I was excited to watch Cedric Tillman and Hendon Hooker for Tennessee, and I think they both had some pretty solid games. Hendon Hooker ended with a nice stat line, apparently looked pretty good. And that Cedric Tillman can play a little bit, nice big wide receiver. Believe David, you're a big fan of Cedric Tillman as well. I guess you're really excited to see that for him. You want to talk about him a little bit?
Love Tillman. I think he's going to be a late first, early second round pick next year. I love
Got
Tillman.
that NFL size, big dude.
Yeah.
I think he looked really good.
You want the big dudes. You don't want no Deuce Vaughns. You want the big dudes. Yeah.
Keaton Slovis ended up getting injured, so that's kind of tough for Pittsburgh. He wasn't really an NFL prospect much.
Terrible anyway.
Yeah, he didn't look good either.
No, looked like Tyler Buckner.
Too soon. But turned out that Hammond for Pittsburgh, the running back, got injured before the game and did not play. And Abanaconda actually took over his role, got a lot of carries. I believe he got 26 carries, like 2 touchdowns. He had a really good game. Kind of took over that backfield again, which is what I was really excited to see. So what do you think about him, David? I know you're also a big fan.
Love him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just got the size. He's got the speed. I think he's going to be grouped in those backs next year in 23.
Mm-hmm. Anything to add there, Joe?
I got my shares of him, so I'm good. I'm happy.
Yeah, you excited about them?
Yeah, I like to see. And plus, who that Pittsburgh legend was in attendance, I saw. Dorsett was there, and the kid just making himself look good. You got to do that when you get some royalty in the house. You got to boost your draft stock, and if he's happy for you, everyone else will be happy for you. So he did his thing. The one thing I want to take back to is on this part is the Tennessee thing.
No take backs.
Not at all.
Nope.
All right. Well, Hendon Hooker. I get it. They went to overtime. The kid dropped back 42 times. Dude, when you drop back 42 times, 64% completion rate. I want you to be better. Be better than that. I get it. It's a long game, but I like him. I like that. I have some shares of him. He's a senior. He's not going to be in the Will Levis discussion as QB1, but he'll be in a QB drafting conversation. I just want to see more accurate. They're going to want to see different things from him at the next level. So that's just what my thing to take away from there. But the Tillman thing, wow. I went back and watched just some highlights because I saw his numbers. I was like, who is this kid? So I heard his name before. I guess this is where I heard his name.
Yeah, you did. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. All the views we can get. But another big game that happened on Saturday was USC versus Stanford game. I actually made my bet on the week on USC to win by, I believe, 8.5 or 9. And they covered because obviously they would because I made the pick. But I'm really excited about this USC team. I think this team is really good. I'm a huge fan of Caleb Williams. I gave out a tweet on my Lord Hinkie Twitter, Lord_Hinkie. Tune in and follow. And I think Caleb Williams, if he came out in 2023, he'd be in the discussion. I think personally he'd probably be my QB1, even in the 23 class, ahead of Bryce Young, ahead of CJ Stroud, ahead of the Will Levises. We'll talk.
I like the way you're doing business there, sir.
But yeah, so I am all in on the Caleb Williams hype.
I mean, he's DMV. You got to put him there. I mean, you guys are not used to that in the PA. You got to put him there. I mean, quarterbacks like that don't grow on trees out there. They do They do over here in the DMV.
I think he's a football player. I think he's just really good, and he looked really good against the Stanford team that was supposed to be, upset alert for this week because they always kind of tend to upset USC. But he looked really good. And then also, I'm a huge fan of Jordan Addison. Personally, right now I have him as my wide receiver 2 in the 2023 class. So what do you guys think about this USC team? I know David, obviously a huge fan of Caleb Williams, but what do you guys think of Jordan Addison? I think he had another really good game.
Addison's on the border for me, man. I just have to. What is his exact height? He just looks small to me, and I should know it. I just don't know it.
I think they got listed about 6 foot. But like 170.
It's right there.
Smith.
He would not be my wide receiver 2. Butte, Quentin Johnson, the bigger size wide receivers would be there. I probably would put Tillman over him right now.
Oh, wow.
Because, just because Tillman's a little taller.
No.
Before we go off somewhere, because I know we're going to jump because we're going a little longer. USC Stanford. EJ Smith disappointed me this week. for Stanford. You got to hold on to the ball. You can't hold on to the ball. That's not good.
Yeah.
2 fumbles.
Yeah. Well, Antonio Gibson made a career out of it. There. You answered my question, Junior, because my notes here. I had a Jordan Addison thing. He impressed me. My question was: Is he the wide receiver 3 or higher in this class? You got him at 2. David got him at 5 or 4 or whatever. Hey, David, do you know where Jordan Addison was born and raised?
No.
Frederick, Maryland, DMV. So you want to holler at your boy? If you want to give a shout out to your area, bring them all in.
I like my DMV with a little bit more height, a little bit more meat on. This boy's 175 pounds, man. Come on, man. Let's order him a few Big Macs.
Yeah, that's a new Slim Reaper. Wait for it. I think seriously, yeah, he's a wide receiver 3 in this class, and I see no problem why he might not. He could be one of the first 2 drafted, even if he's the wide receiver 3 in this class. He could go on his talent alone, so it wouldn't surprise me. I like to see him as the top 3. He'll be there. You guys will turn me on to him. I'm taking him over Jermaine Burton. David, your boy.
We'll hit that. We'll hit that hopefully.
Okay, so
yeah.
That's all I got to say about. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I think he looks really good. The big thing for me is he's always open. And that's kind of like the new style of wide receiver, I think, in the NFL, is guys that are just able to create separation and just get open. That's a basic thing as a wide receiver. You can be David's guy, and he could be 6'3", 205 pounds, but if you can't separate and you're not open, you're going to have a tough time catching footballs, and that's what we need to do in the NFL. So, me personally, I think he's just always open. He's always going to catch he's got safe hands, and he's a big play kind of waiting to happen, as you saw in this USC game.
Now, is he always open because his quarterbacks are Kenny Pickett and Williams, though?
It's tough to say, but
yeah. And he's probably going to get high drafted enough where he's not going to have a quarterback of that luxury, right? And then with the size, hey, I'm not saying I hate the prospect, right? I'm just saying it's a great. That one's going to be one of the tougher evals for me is him.
And the other note I had for that game was Tanner McKee for Stanford, the quarterback they have. I think he might be the future Davis Mills, what I said before the game. But he did not look too good in this USC game, so I'm kind of off him. I believe he was a 5-star recruit coming in, that pro-style QB, but he just hasn't really done anything for me in college. But then moving on to probably my favorite game of the week was the Kentucky-Florida game. QB1 versus QB2, Will Levis and Anthony Richardson going head-to-head in the swamp, and they both really disappointed me in this game. Mostly Anthony Richardson. He obviously did not have a good game at all. I gave a slight downgrade to Will Levis. I know that offensive line there is not very good, but he looked like he had zero pocket awareness at all. And that really concerned me for the next level. But, David, tough one for us as big Anthony Richardson guys. He really did not show up for us in this game.
Really tough. We need to delete all video, all recordings of someone saying he should be quarterback 1. That just was not good. Obviously, he's not quarterback 1. Depending on how he finishes the year, we'll see where he ends up. I still think he's a good prospect, but he's not a can't miss prospect because can you teach a quarterback to throw the ball?
That's understandable. Do you think if he has more games like this for this season, I believe he is eligible to come back for another year, so maybe another year of college might work out for him. Do you think that's a chance of him going back for another year?
So if he does that, then he becomes strictly CFF and no dynasty.
Because of the age?
Yeah.
Fair. What do you got to say about that, Joe?
2 things. First, I got to correct you. You said something about QB1 and QB2. I believe you meant QB1 and QB4. Okay, Richardson is QB4, but that's neither here nor there. David hit the nail on the head, teaching them to throw the ball. It's 14-35 with 2 picks, and that doesn't even bother me as much. Yeah, I don't like it. It's under 50%, but he looked indecisive. He couldn't make the decision. Do I throw it here? You cannot tell me this was a home Florida game. Like, he had no clue what was going on. I was like, were they on the road? That really confused me. The Will Levis thing, you're right. Slight downgrade, no pocket awareness. Someone has to put a clock in his head. That's one thing that he needs to learn. Don't get me wrong. Word on the street is, Sean Clifford's better than this kid. That's why he's at Kentucky. However, he has to get a clock. At least Clifford has a clock in his head. Okay, hey, one potato, 2 potatoes. Hey, let's go. We got either step in or look around because he got blown up so many times. I was afraid for his safety. I was about to, hop a plane and head on down to Florida, just make sure he was okay. That's my QB1, y'all. But other than that, he made the plays to win the game, and Richard couldn't make the plays to win the game. Not that he couldn't. He couldn't even make decisions. Like, I don't know what to do. He looked lost at home in the swamp, and that was confusing to me. David said it earlier, in an earlier podcast, he's still a project. He's still development. And his first 4 years as starter. So I'm not going to hold it against him. But after that week 1 show, and he's like, hey, guys, I can throw the ball over the middle. I can do all these things. And then you come back home and now you can't do those things. What happened in that week? What did I miss?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Just to add on, I was not impressed with Will Levis at all either. Not at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really looked like he almost downgraded as a thrower, as a QB. Because I saw like flashes last season of him being able to kind of read defenses and kind of, have a feel for the game. And it looked like he lost all of it against Florida that week. But for me, the only bright spot out of this game was Trevor Etienne, freshman running back for Florida. I think the kid's really good. He had 9 carries, 45 yards. He had a nice touchdown run. To me, he's probably the best back in that field, but obviously he's a freshman, so he's going to get split carries. But I really like him as a player. For your C2C, your Devy leagues, I think he's got a really good chance to be NFL back as well. How do you guys feel about Trevor Etienne?
He's 5'9".
Okay, and we're done.
Shouldn't have even asked the question.
You shouldn't even ask the question.
All right, so getting in the last game.
Hold on.
Or do you want to go?
One last thought before we get off of Will Levis. Like, you're right. Like, maybe he didn't look as good, but here's the difference between Will Levis in that game and Anthony Richardson. Will Levis didn't lose any stock. Yeah, I joke around QB1 or whatever, but he's always going to be middle of the pack, and that's what they're expecting him to be. So that's where he's going to go. Anthony Richardson, this is the ceiling, and now he's just falling from that. Like, he's the one. He has more to lose. It's like Bryce Young. Bryce Young, had they lost that game to Alabama, Bryce Young loses. And to Texas, he loses 0 stock. He's Bryce Young. Same with Will Levis. He's going to stay the same unless he has a monster year. If he has a regular year, he's still going to be the anywhere between that 4th to 8th quarterback taking off the board. He's not going to jump up. He's not going to fall down as long as he continues to play his game. Richardson could be the first quarterback taken off the board. He could go back to college. And that's what he has so much to lose, and he lost a lot of it.
You know what? When you're right, you are right. That's a good analysis of that going into that game.
Yeah.
It's not often, but when you're right, you're right.
Gotta give him the shout out.
Gotta give it.
Yeah.
Even if it's only 2% of the time.
All right, sorry. Let's wrap up this last game. My bad.
All right. So last game, probably the closest game. I wish I could have watched this game, honestly, but it was a noon game when we were obviously at the Penn State game. But Alabama versus Texas in Texas. Alabama only won the game by 1. Final total was 20-19. News from the game is that Quinn Ewers looked good. I believe he played the whole first quarter, I think.
Looked real good.
And then got the shoulder injury, and he's expected to be out for
it's a shame.
6 to 8 weeks.
Shame, because if he did not get it hurt, Alabama loses that game.
Yeah, you think they win that game with Quinn Ewers?
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. But then Hudson Card came in. He looked like, from the stat line, he played just okay. Pretty solid. Bijan had a decent game. Wasn't really explosive like we were kind of expecting him to be, but he did have a solid game. And for me, Xavier Worthy showed up. So I was really excited about that. I got some Xavier Worthy shares, and I like him a little bit as a prospect. So, I was kind of excited to see that about the Texas side. But do you guys have anything to add on to the Texas offense and the dynasty players for this team?
So I'll jump in because this was one of the games I locked in on for the weekend. Disappointed Alabama wide receivers. They showed to be really bad. It's a concern for them. Their best player on offense besides their quarterback is Jahmyr Gibbs. And I don't know what they do at wide receiver. Jermaine Burton looked bad. And someone said he was going to be the number 1 wide receiver in the 2023 mock. Somebody's got to stop doing these calls, man.
Yeah, we got to cut that one out. The Richardson one. Hopefully they're together to be an easy cut.
But he did not. He didn't look good. And Ja'Cory Brooks was okay. Kobe Prentice, who was good the week before, didn't look good. So they got a lot of searching to do at wide receiver.
I think the biggest thing for the Alabama team was obviously Bryce Young had a decent game. He was able to get enough done, kind of like we were talking about Will Levis. He got the job done, got the win, had that nice final drive. But I think the best thing to talk about on this Bama team is their running backs. And speaking of Jahmyr Gibbs, so we're going to talk about the jersey in the box for this week. That is a signed Jamison Williams Alabama jersey, and he obviously wore #1 when he played for Alabama. And you know who else wears #1 when he plays for Alabama? Jahmyr Gibbs, who I think looks from the stat line had a really solid game. Rushing side, only had 9 carries for 22 yards, but receiving, 9 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown. That's what you're going to get with Jahmyr Gibbs. The guy is Alvin Kamara reincarnated. He's smooth in the pass game. He catches the ball nice. He's a great route runner. So I think he had a really good game. And also, Jace McCullen. Looks like he had a pretty solid game. He's one of those, I believe he's a senior this year for Alabama, who's kind of just been a backup, and now he's got a chance to actually play on the field. And so far, he's making the most out of it. He had 6 carries, 97 yards and a touchdown. I believe he had a big touchdown run. So I think the backs look pretty good for this Alabama team. Joe, who are you excited to watch these Alabama players, see what they can do in the NFL? Miley.
I don't know. I don't know.
He's a Bama hater.
I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater. So, what did you just say about Jason McCullough? Because they said the same thing about Brian Robinson last year. Just wait your turn, and you're a Bama guy, and
Hey, man, we don't know what Robinson. The guy got shot.
I'm not.
He looked good in preseason. Looked good in preseason.
He looked good in preseason.
Won the job.
Yeah, he would be the starting running back right now if he didn't get shot.
He didn't win the job. He
got a hit put on him.
He was given the job because they were changed. You know what? You gonna talk NFL? We can do that anyway. David, so let me ask you this then. With the receivers you were saying, and you watched the game, right? Was the Texas defense good? Is this where Gibbs plays dump offs? Were these design plays? Like, why was he wide receiver 1 this week? I didn't watch it, so I don't know if the Texas defense was actually good or if this is something that they schemed up to play it this way.
So the Texas defense did look good. They were a lot faster, I thought, than in this game than I thought they were last year. The wide receivers could not get open, which is, these are Alabama 4 or 5-star receivers, and forget about 4-star. Most of them are 5-stars, highly ranked, and they just could not get open. That's why there was a lot of dump off to Gibbs. And Junior missing Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, flip a coin. They're 1-2, right? Let's stop that. We can stop that conversation now after we've seen Richardson this week. At least for me, they both. The reason why Alabama won the game and CJ Stroud looked good as well. I don't want to go off Bama, but without Bryce Young, Alabama does not win that game.
Did he get tackled for safety?
I think he was down. If we're going to talk about that clip, I do think he was down.
Here's the thing:
calf.
They didn't call it because he's Bryce Young. It's the Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky rule. You're gonna, this is our favorite, and then this is Nick Saban's boy. Okay, now he's good. Let's keep playing. Anyways, so back to the running backs. McClellan, he'll be what he is. I guess he'll be the next Brian Robinson. I was not as high on Gibbs as everyone else. I don't hate Gibbs. I just wasn't as high as everyone else. There's other backs in this league that I prefer, especially the one Penn State will be visiting next week, Tank Bigsby in Auburn. But I'm not out on him. He's solid. When I have an opportunity, I'll be taking him in some spots.
McClellan, the thing to keep in mind, he's a senior running back who's been injured. So his evaluation, that when you evaluate him, it has to take that into account. And I would not. We're probably talking in this year's draft, mid-second round to late second round pick, which probably is fine in this draft. Sean Tucker's another one. Woo, what a year he is having.
Boy, good.
Could look pretty good. But so that kind of brings us to the end of the main games and the main slate, and kind of these top prospects that we really want to talk about. But like Sean Tucker, I was going to kind of open the floor for you guys to talk about any prospects that you were excited about this week that you thought had big games. But do you guys have anybody else you want to discuss while we got the entire all formats crew here together for one actual video?
I'll defer on this one for now.
Why?
Nothing, Joe.
Yeah, I'll let Joe go first.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, my players are going to be the best ones stated last, so that's why.
All right, I'll be quick.
That won't happen.
A couple of guys that surprised me, and the game. When you talk about Isaiah Worthy earlier, we sleep on this other Xavier Worthy. Xavier Restrepo in Miami. Watch out for this kid, David. He's 5'10", so don't chime in. 2 games, the kid's got 11 catches, 170 yards at a touchdown. He's going to make some moves at the next level.
Braxton Berrios
was Jamison Crowder. All these guys, you talking about these slot guys that catch 80 balls a year for 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, and are elite winners? Is that who you're talking about? Because I know those guys
that are not dynasty relevant.
I'm gonna go through all 25 of your leagues and highlight everyone that's under 6 foot on your team. Anyway, the McIntosh receiving line at Georgia, that surprised me. Led the team in receptions and yards. Like, he's going to be the next James Cook that comes out of that team. These guys coming out of the backfield. And they didn't talk about it a lot. The return of Sam Hartman. People slept on that. He comes back after I think he had a blood issue, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, picks up the W. I like Sam Hartman on the college football side.
Okay,
the kid's going to be. Oh yeah,
when you throw that out, Claire, don't put the listeners on the wrong train track here.
My bad. On the college side, get yourself some of that Sam Hartman. And last but not least, Devin Leary showed up. That's the Devin Leary I wanted to see last week. 4 touchdowns through the air, 2 on the ground. 65% completion. You know, he needs more work on that. But dude, he should have done that against ECU. You shouldn't have to wait for following week. You keep doing that. 6'1", you can make it. You're gonna be my next Kyler Murray / Russell Wilson type player. Now, David, give us the right ones.
I'm glad we went through a whole bunch of CFF strictly guys. It was great. I hope the listeners enjoyed that. So let's go to the NFL that are relevant. Marvin Mims from Oklahoma blew up this week. Was quiet last week. Jalen McMillan, they're playing him a lot in the slot this year. So I don't know. I really don't like sticking to this slot guys. When I first saw his game film the week 1, I thought, hey, this looks like Michael Pittman. But then I also noticed he was in the slot. So I'm curious how that continues. But I like what I've seen from him so far. And then I'll give a disappointment. Evan Stewart with Texas A&M was really disappointing.
All right. So that brings us to the end for the week 2 recap of the college format podcast. I want to thank both you guys for joining me today for the actual YouTube video. Nice to see your guys' pretty faces and actually get to add them to the YouTube channel. So I appreciate you guys coming in. Appreciate everybody for listening. Shout out my brother Dylan for editing this video for us and making this nice little format with all these football players around this kid. Doing a great job. But yeah, appreciate you guys. And there'll be a college week 3 preview video coming out later on this week. I don't know if we'll be able to get everybody onto that YouTube video, but it'll be out later this week. It looks like it's probably going to be another week for college football. Not a lot of really big matchups, but a lot of good football players to talk about. So thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.